loves, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you here. My name is Allison, aka Popkat 33, and let's get started. Today we have a very momentous occasion because we're going to be discussing Game of Thrones Season 8 and all the things that I thought about it, and we're also going to have two Game of Thrones pop unboxings. One of them is just a Funko figure, but you will see that soon enough. So we will start with the Funko unboxings, and then I will go ahead and give a warning for anybody who hasn't seen Game of Thrones and doesn't really care to stay around for the review so that you know when it is coming. So first we are going to just reveal something that I picked up when I went home to visit my parents last weekend. So this was at the AT&T store where they had a bunch of Game of Thrones pops, and it was actually a better deal than any retailer that I could find online. So I got Tyrion Lannister with battle armor. So if you've seen my previous unboxing where I also had a different Tyrion pop, which was just the common variant of him, I love to collect Tyrions. So I got Tyrion in battle armor, and he does have his scar this time, and then he's holding a little gauntlet. So I love Tyrion. Tyrion is one of my two favorite characters, including Daenerys, but I will talk more about that when we get into the review. And then the second item that I wanted to unbox today is from Amazon. So I got this right after I watched episode 3, so I will also talk about that in the review. So as you can tell, it is not the size of a pop usually. It's a little bit flatter, so it's not a pop, but let's see what it is. So this person I thought was the shining star of season 8, and so I just had to have a item from this character. So here it is. It is my very first rock candy ever. So it is the rock candy of Arya Stark, and this is the outfit that she wears in season 8 as well. So she looks awesome with Needle, and I really like the rock candies. I think they highlight female characters more. They kind of lend to more like facial emotion from female characters, but the male characters look awesome too. Like I like the Dumbledore one that they have as well. But yeah, so that is Arya Stark. Okay, so starting now, I am going to discuss my thoughts on Game of Thrones Season 8. So if you haven't watched it yet and you plan to watch it, please add this video to your watch laters so that you can see it after you've watched it. Also pause this video and go watch it right now. And it is, it's a very crucial season, I would say, in Game of Thrones, so make sure that you get to it as soon as possible so that you know what we're all talking about. But here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start in order of how the season went, and I will give you my review of it as I go, just so that you can hear all of my thoughts. So, episode 1, I really enjoyed it. I like how they all got back together, including Jon and Daenerys, and how everyone was at Winterfell, and just kind of conversing and getting reacquainted. So I really did like episode 1, and I thought that it was perfect and everything, you know, that I wanted in episode 1. And it was just sort of setting up for what was going to happen, which was fine. And episode 2 is a lot of the same as well. It was just more character building, and them preparing for the fight in episode 3. So I enjoyed that one as well, and I liked how they were revealing Jon's secret to all of the characters. I liked how they interacted, you know, with Sam and Jon, and then with Jon and Daenerys as well. And I really did enjoy the fireplace scene where all the characters were there, and Tormund told his giant story, which was hilarious. And then I also liked Pod singing. I thought that was a good touch for the end of that episode. So overall for me, I would just mark episodes 1 and 2 as wins, and I thought that they were very well done, and I'm good with those. So now we will move on to episode 3. So that is the Battle of Winterfell. It was not only my favorite episode of the season, it was my favorite episode of probably the entire show, because it was the most exhilarating. It had all of my favorite characters in it. You know, Cersei wasn't there, and she's not one of my favorite characters, so I don't really care. But it had pretty much everybody, and they were all working together against the common enemy, which was the Night King, and I thought that it was just the right length. I didn't like how they all had like a bubble of immortality around them, that none of the like main characters could die at all, but then all of the extras could die. And then more extras appeared later, which I don't know. But it seemed like only the main characters were alive at the end of that battle, so I don't know what they were doing. But overall, it was my favorite episode, and Arya was really awesome in that episode. The entire like horror scene of her in the library with all of the whites was really, really cool. I had a lot of suspense, and then most characters really stood up. I know that like 6 of our main characters, kind of secondary characters, did die. Like Theon's death was really cool. As well as Ed, you know, Jorah was definitely the most memorable. But yeah, so all those secondary characters gone, but oh well, you know, nobody really important died in that episode. And then the end of that episode, I know that some people don't like how they ended the Night King and the White Walkers, but honestly, when Arya, you know, attacked the Night King and then stabbed him, that was probably the single best like shot of the entire show, because I was screaming, I know, right after that happened. I was so excited because nobody expected it. Like, we watched her run off earlier on, and then we, you know, just sort of forgot where she was, and eventually it was like, who is gonna kill the Night King? He's about to win, and Arya just pops out of nowhere. So that was amazing. I was so happy with Arya. So like the second after I saw that, I went and bought this Arya rock candy because I knew that everyone was gonna be obsessed with Arya. But overall, just the Battle of Winterfell was the best episode in my opinion. I know that people thought it was too dark, but I don't know. I just thought it was the best. So then on to episode 4. You know, it was fine. I liked the beginning right after the battle when everyone was mourning the deaths of everyone who had passed away and they were burning, you know, the bodies. And I thought that was really cool. Moving on from that, you know, episode 4 is fine up until Missandei's death, and that really got me. So I thought that was a really cool moment, that Missandei was just like, Dracarys, just burn them all. And so then we're getting into episode 5, which starts the downhill slope of season 8 in my opinion. So I hated episodes 5 and 6. I don't know about all of you, but I thought those 2 episodes are probably the worst in Game of Thrones history. So episode 5 is when Daenerys burns down the entire town of King's Landing, and she kills everyone in sight. So I was not pleased with that because Daenerys is my favorite character of all of Game of Thrones, and I have loved Emilia Clarke for all these years. You know, she's just been our Khaleesi, and she has represented us as Game of Thrones fans, and I thought the writers just really did not do Daenerys any good this entire season. I did not think that, you know, the entire character arc that Daenerys has had over the past 7 seasons was brought to light at all. I think they just totally flipped it just so that they could surprise the fans with her being a mad queen. And I know that they had a couple events leading up to that, like Missandei's death, Jorah's death, and then Varys' betrayal, but all of those things, I think that Daenerys we know and love could have gotten past them, and then she could have just, you know, ruled like a normal person. If she had just killed just Cersei, everything would have been fine. And so in that moment, with her burning all of King's Landing, I don't even care, because I'm still going to love Emilia Clarke and I'm still going to love Daenerys, and I know that that wasn't her, I know it was the writers. So that brings us to episode 6, which is the final episode of Game of Thrones, and I did not like it because Daenerys was now the Mad Queen and she was a dictator ruling over everyone, and I thought that that was just not the direction that they should have gone with the show at all. So then when Jon killed her, I was just like, what? Like, this is not what I wanted. So, I mean, in the end, we knew that one of them was going to kill the other one, but it just didn't feel like a lead up at all. So I was just like, oh, are you kidding me? So then the best moment, I would say, of the entire episode 6 was when Drogon burned down the throne, and he chose not to harm Jon because he knew that it's not Jon who really killed Daenerys, it was her lust and her obsession with getting the throne. So that's why Drogon burned the throne, and I thought that was really beautiful. And then him sailing off into the distance with Daenerys kind of just left me sad. I didn't feel mad at her at all. So yeah, I'm very sad that Daenerys died. And then I did think that the Endings for the Starks were good. The only thing that I have a gripe with is I don't think Bran was the best person to rule the Seven Kingdoms, well, the Six Kingdoms now, because I just don't think that anybody has really liked Bran as a character for these past 8 seasons. Like, he's fine, but we don't really want him to be king. So I was just not very happy with that. I think that Jon really deserved it, and Jon did everything right. So Bran could have pardoned him, and he could have ascended the throne instead of getting banished to the Night's Watch. But I know that he'll be happy at the Night's Watch with the Free Folk, because that is really where he's happy and in his element. That's where he was in his element with Ygritte, at least. And then I'm happy for Sansa and Arya as well. Arya gets to sail around the world, and Sansa gets to rule the North. So the Starks really got their happy ending. It's just Daenerys who got gypped. Oh, and going back, I did not like Cersei and Jaime's death either. I thought that Cersei and Jaime's death was kind of lame. I thought that it should have been bigger, like all of the other deaths that we've had in all of Game of Thrones. But, you know, it is what it is. So overall, just because of what they did to Daenerys this season, I would say that season 8 is my least favorite season of Game of Thrones. We really had a lot of build-up going into this season, and they could have done much more, just like a lot of other shows have done with their final seasons, that they make it something really worthwhile for the fans, and you know, they just give us something that surprises us but doesn't change characters' build up completely. So overall, a couple good episodes, especially Battle of Winterfell, but I would say season 8 was not very good. I also have exciting news. I do have a new address where you guys can send me anything you'd like. If you want to send me a present just for being cool, or if you want to go ahead and send me anything that you'd like me to unbox for all of YouTube to see, I will shout you out. So you can go ahead to the description below to find that address. It does work as a physical address if you need that for whatever mailing service you're using. So yeah, I look forward to seeing everything that you guys send me. So thank you all so much for watching my Game of Thrones review today. Don't forget about my 300 subscriber challenge. If we get to 300 subscribers by Friday, June 15th at 11:59 p.m., I will be giving away Steve from Stranger Things, Baskin-Robbins exclusive Funko Pop. So please get to 300 so that we can give someone lucky a Steve, because they are very expensive right now. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring that bell so that you never miss a video. Have a fantastic day!